Hello and welcome to the Nora Showreels. My name is Matt Smith, Event Director for Online Retailer and partner to the Nora Network, and I am delighted to be joined today by Tim Davies, CEO and founder of ZELLIS. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks, Matt. Great to be with you.
It's great to have you here. So, talk to me a little bit about ZELLIS. I understand it's you've got two primary or main components of the business. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so ZELLIS started up about 7 odd years ago now. I used to work at eBay, was dealing with a lot of eBay sellers who had varying degrees of understanding about what they were doing. The e-commerce has, of course, grown in Australia quite dramatically, and what we found that we were being asked to do time and time again was to optimise their product data and information and images for the eBay marketplace, and then, of course, for their websites. So ZELLIS effectively evolved to basically focus on product data, creation of the data, preparation and optimising that data for different channels. And then there's also a big factor of customer experience effectively in that work as well. The data's like the foundation of the business. Once you've done that work, it's kind of there and everyone thinks it magically appears, but it doesn't. And then you build the website on top of that and you build the customer experience on top of that to hopefully get the customer to actually buy the products on the website. So primarily what we do is the data work and the customer experience, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So, and how's that business been developing over time?
It's actually been pretty mental, to be honest.
Yeah.
The past couple of years with the pandemic have really come along with a very pleasant curveball for us. I've always maintained the view that we should just grow organically. We've not really had an agenda to sort of grow or become a multi-million-dollar business or anything like that. We just sort of follow along with the demand that's there. But of course, with customers going online to shop when they couldn't go to the physical shops, we know that e-commerce has taken quite a ride up over the past couple of years. So our business has effectively tripled in size in that time. It's been quite dramatic.
Yeah.
And of course, that's not because we've grown, it's because our customers have grown and there's been more demand for that work.
Sure. And there's a big part of your business is on the automotive side, isn't it? Talk to me about that side of things.
Automotive is an interesting one. It's very data intensive. So with any business online, you need to have the information about the products well structured. If customers are going to find products of a certain colour or material or type or size, you've got to have all those attributes about the products pre-structured in the back end before you can even put them on the website. With automotive, there's another layer, and that is fitment, meaning that you can buy an oil filter, but it's only going to fit certain cars.
Yeah.
So the motorist is going to go to your website. They're not going to look through 5,000 parts hoping to find the right one that fits their car. Nobody's going to waste their time doing that. They're going to actually go to the website, look for their car first, find that in maybe a part finder, and then be shown the 2 or 3 products that actually fit their car. And that doesn't happen by accident. It's not a magic trick. One of the headwinds in that space is that the manufacturers of these products are often reluctant to hand over the fitment information. It sounds really weird, We're still kind of getting a head around that. But in some cases, they just don't have it. They've made the parts that fit the cars and that's it.
Yeah.
If you think about the way that automotive parts have been in the past, typically you buy a car and you go back to that dealer to go and buy a part. You walk up to their service counter or their parts counter and say, I need a such and such, that's my car out there in the car park. And the parts interpreter, who's effectively a walking encyclopedia, goes, oh yeah, I know part number XYZ123. He goes off and gets it, everyone's happy. Online, that can't happen.
Right.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because the customer's not talking to the parts interpreter. The parts interpreter is at home in bed.
Yep.
It's midnight.
Yep.
And you want to get a part for your car. So all of the data that has to be prepared so that the customer can get the right part for their car, it requires a lot of data work. So data being our main game, we've not gone looking for automotive. It sort of came looking for us, I suppose. But it's kept us very, very busy. Over the past, look, it's been the past 2-3 years, I suppose, but we've started to see an acceleration in the past year, especially in the automotive space. There's been a few things driving that. So firstly, as I said, a lot of the manufacturers of automotive parts, whether they're brand makes like Mitsubishi, Holden, Toyota, whatever, are either reluctant to provide the information or maybe don't have it in the format that it's needed for e-commerce. So that's been one problem. The second issue is that you've got marketplaces like eBay and Amazon, which do have fitment solutions on their marketplace to make it easier for the customer to find their part. And it works. eBay accounts for close to 25% of all automotive parts sales globally.
Really?
It's a massive number. So they're doing something very right. And they've started a program about halfway through last year until now, and it's still going on, to really drive that category. Amazon's just launched fitment on their website just literally about a month or so ago, so that again the customers have more confidence in buying. Now the challenge that both marketplaces have, because they're not actually selling the products, this is coming from third parties. The challenges that both marketplaces have is getting the fitment data applied by the merchants or the sellers, who in turn are trying to get it from their suppliers, who are not giving it to them. You've got this really weird sort of situation. So we've had to do a lot of fitment for customers. One of the products that we developed, which is called ZELLIS Auto, is a fitment solution. I'll call it a fitment solution. It's actually a number of components, but it's primarily a tagging platform which allows the merchant to go in there, pull up their part, and then pick the cars that it fits, press save, and then it's done. That data, once it's done, then actually drives a part finder on the front of their website, which allows the customer to find the right part.
Sure.
That also integrates with eBay. So once they've chosen or set the fitment for their parts on their website, it's going to work on their website. It's also going to work on eBay as well. So and Amazon. So it's going to manage all of those channels all at once, because the last thing you want to do is have to do it 3 times.
So essentially, you're facilitating a whole new means of transacting.
Yeah, well, if you think about e-commerce, you walk into a physical store to go and buy a bicycle or a pair of shoes or something. You can physically see the product. You can talk to the sales reps and they can talk you through the technical aspects of the product. When you're online, you can't. You're sitting at home on your lounge, you're on the bus on your mobile phone. If the information about that product that you're going to come up with all the questions in your mind is not already there on the page, you're not going to trust it.
No, sure.
And number one thing about spending money is we don't give money to people we don't trust. And that holds very true of online. So being able to have, so it is a new way of transacting in the sense that it's allowing a lot of the automotive dealers, and I say dealers as opposed to retailers. If you think about automotive retailers like your Autobarns and your Repcos and Spares Box and people like that, they've pretty much got this figured out. They've got big budgets, they've invested the money, they've got the people in there, they've done a lot of that work already. It's a lot of the newer entrants that are either smaller manufacturers making their own boutique products for four-wheel drive off-road or something like that, or are buying parts that maybe no brand or not brands that are common in Australia, for example, that don't have that data that are actually needing to do it. So it's to give you an idea of the power of fitment in terms of sales. eBay's metrics from the work that we did towards the end of last year have demonstrated an uplift in conversion of around 40 to 45%.
Crimes. Wow.
It's not just a 1 or 2%.
No,
this
staggering.
Is a massive game changer for people that are doing that. So I was chatting with a merchant just the other day, and he's just like, "Oh, we haven't done that for eBay yet. So we're just doing our sales. Everything's all fine." I'm just like, "Do you realise how much money you're leaving on the table? Like you could almost, it's a substantial amount more." And the same holds true of the website. If the customer's not sure, or let's say there is a part finder on the website, they go and find their make, model, year, and there's the parts that fit it, and they click and add it to cart. Now they're on the cart page. They're not in the part finder. They're not looking at the parts, not looking at the product information. They're on the cart page. And there's nothing on that cart page to validate to them that they've got the right part that fits their car. They've still got that doubt there. So one of our clients, a couple of weeks ago, we sat down with them to talk about their business, and they shared some stats with me which were for their business.
And this client was in which?
This is in it's an automotive dealership. They've got about 10 or so dealerships across Ford, Mitsubishi, Toyota, Hyundai, a whole bunch of different dealerships. They're selling genuine automotive parts, genuine parts from these different makes. And they're doing very well. They're a couple of $100,000 a month. They're doing great. But what they shared was their stats for their website performance. They get around, I think the numbers were something like about 800 people would actually add a product to cart. 600 of those would actually then proceed to checkout and put in their email address. That's actually pretty good. Like that's pretty good. Cart abandonment at that stage is usually, can be a lot higher than that. So that's pretty good numbers. Then at that page, 300 would actually go and actually put in their credit card details, so that we're getting a 50% drop off at that point of cart abandonment. And of the ones that put in their credit card, only half of them actually completed the transaction.
Only half?
Only half. And it kind of stunned me a little bit. I was thinking, by the time you put your credit card in, surely you
absolutely,
no, actually, they hadn't. So we really had to then take a step back and look at what's the customer experience. Why are they getting to that point? They think they're certain, but then they're not sure. And that's the psychology of a website, a web store, e-commerce. There's something along the line where they were going, yeah, I think that's the right part, click, add it to cart, enter credit card, and then it's just like, just let me check.
Yeah,
and they've gone somewhere else.
So what would be your key message then to the industry, your key message from all the things that you've learned from this experience, this process?
Probably two things. Firstly, don't wait.
Right.
The big automotive parts retailers have already moved. Your Super Cheap Autos, your Repcos and so forth, they've already moved. Mm-hmm. They're already doing incredibly well in that space. They're the early movers and they've invested in it, they've done it well. The size of the automotive parts and accessories industry globally is set to triple by 2028. So we're talking big numbers. This is a massive catch-up for this industry, if you ask me.
Yep.
It's not in line with a lot of the other industries, which are kind of just going in a more linear fashion. This is a massive catch-up happening because the automotive industry, typically it's a bloke's domain. Typically it's the parts interpreters that have ruled the roost. They're the ones that know it all, and everybody else is sort of playing second fiddle. So the first thing I'd say is don't delay. Start now.
Yep.
The second thing I'd say is, again, what I said earlier, this doesn't happen by magic. You can't just go knocking on the door of a supplier and say, give me all your spreadsheets. We've seen the spreadsheets. Some of them are better than others. Some of them are non-existent. But pretty much all of them have either gaps in them or are structured in a way that just doesn't work for e-commerce. Yep. And if you think about it, it's not the manufacturer's job to sell to the end consumer. It's the manufacturer's job to sell to the resellers. It's their job to do the sales with the customer. So I get that the data's not going to be in the right format. And that's what we do. So our approach, and this is what I'd say to anybody that's in that space, our approach is to empower our clients with as much information and knowledge and skills as they can to do it themselves.
Yep.
You want to be master of your own business in that sense. We don't want them to be beholden to us. We'll help, we'll plug whatever gaps they've got. So let's say they've got the data from the supplier and it's got the part number, it's got the description and the name and the colour, and it's looking really good, but they haven't got any dimensions or any weights. How are they going to calculate shipping? And I mean, your customer's not going to buy it if they don't know how much it's going to cost. In fact, you can't even do a transaction without shipping.
Yeah, absolutely.
E-commerce. So that's just an example of the sort of gaps that we find all the time.
Excellent. So, and who would you? I mean, obviously you're working with dealers. You're getting out there in that particular market. Who ideally would you be looking to work with in Australia?
Pretty much all the automotive dealers, if I could be greedy. Look, we work already with quite a number of dealer groups. We find that the businesses that succeed and do really well with it are the ones that actually dedicate a person or a couple of people in their team to e-commerce. Yeah. We've come across too many businesses, and this is not just in automotive, this is across all categories. We've come across too many businesses that kind of half do it, or the owner of the business is going, looking after themselves as a little side project. If you consider that e-commerce is growing at double the speed of traditional retail, why would you not put all of your energy into that? Why would you not all of it? Why would you not put serious energy into it? So we do find that a lot of the clients that we come to talk to, either the owner who should be on the big things is looking in the weeds at all this data stuff, and then of course coming out stuck because they're not doing it properly, or they've not actually got a person in the business that's actually focusing on it. Yeah. So that's, if I could say, our ideal client would be an automotive dealer that has access to the genuine parts. Yep. There's a big lack of genuine parts available online. There's a couple of dealers that have done it very well, but there's still a big lack of that. Yep. There's a lot more to go. A lot of the aftermarket parts, which are made by other brands, replacement parts and so forth, or even accessories. Again, varying degrees of success with those. The ones that focus on the data and do it well are doing well. So we would say anybody selling automotive parts and accessories, yes, but you've got to have somebody in-house that's actually owning it, even if you're going to outsource some of the data work to somebody like us. Yeah.
So I'm a dealer. If you were to succinctly define your value proposition, what you could do for me, what would you say?
The cost, so firstly, the knowledge of which part fits which car or motorbike is not something that people are born with. It's something that's learned. And so I won't say they're a dying breed, that's a bit morbid, but the parts interpreter is great for over the counter. They can't help you online. So we've got to take all the information that's in the head of the parts interpreter and put it down into a structured form that computers can actually work with, and Google can serve up, and marketplaces can serve up, your website can work, search can work, attributes can work, filters, all that sort of stuff. it has to be structured in that way so that the customer's got all the information they need when they're actually right on the website. Somebody has to do that. And so your options as a dealer are either you hire somebody to do it or you get the parts interpreter to do it. He's not going to want to do it because effectively you're replacing him, right? So he's not going to be too happy about doing it. But you also can't just find people that can do this stuff, which is one of the reasons why we get a lot of clients coming through to work with us, because there's a degree of, I suppose, awareness and also knowledge and expertise and I suppose habit or routine that we've gone through. And as I say, we'll do that work for them. It's much cheaper to get our team to do it. Our data team is based in the Philippines, so the actual cost is a lot less than what it would be for a full-time person here in Australia, for example. And so some of our clients will take on 1, 2 or even 3 people for 2, 3, 4 months, maybe 6 months. A lot of our clients are long-term, where they've got a continuous source of products coming into it.
So essentially, you're saving that dealer a significant amount of time, a lot of money, and getting them more visibility in terms of.
Yes. Well, more than visibility, it's really pointing to the conversion side of the sale.
Right.
If you're going to fill up the bath, you put the plug in first. Otherwise, what's the point of sending all the traffic to your website if it's leaking, right? So when we talk about conversion, we're talking about trust. You don't give money to somebody you don't trust. So building the trust factors in the website, building the confidence factors, providing the information the customer's going to need to make their decision and make it with confidence right there in situ, in the flow through that customer experience is really important. One of the things that fitment's going to do, I mean, it's got to be done, but one of the things that fitment's going to do is it's going to reduce the amount of pre-sales inquiries. I've got this car, what fits it? They can find it themselves. It's going to reduce the post-transaction customer support. I've got this part, I don't know how it fits. It's right there. It's going to reduce the returns because they've found the right part that fits the car. They're not guessing. Returns in automotive can be up to 30% plus. That's a you think if you're doing $1 million a year or $10 million a year, that's $3 million. That's you just give them straight back. And even if you are able to find the right part and replace it, all that customer support burden and all extra shipping and everything else, all the hassle, plus the bad experience for the customer. So we want to avoid that. Our value proposition is really saving them the money for having to do that manual work themselves, and secondly, effectively giving them close to 40% or more boost in their sales online, which is that's
fantastic. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Tim, that's great. I mean, it looks like the future is very, very strong. It looks like the business is booming. It looks like you've got a fantastic value proposition to those dealers. All the very best.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming today. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you again sometime.
Fantastic. My pleasure.
Cheers.